Hello all, welcome to the lecture series of the poem A Requiem to Mother Earth written by O.N.V. Kurup. This is the second and final part of the lecture series, and here we will be completing the detailed analysis of the poem. In the previous video lesson, we have discussed the first 6 stanzas. In this video lesson, we will be discussing the remaining 6 stanzas. Let's have a detailed analysis of the poem A Requiem to Mother Earth written by O.N.V. Kurup from stanza 7 to 12. Let us read the 7th stanza. The eyes of the blazing sun shoot rays of fairy fury. June clouds hunt for drinking water. December nights hunt for cold. April dawns hunt for a tiny flower. Sylvan rivers hunt for swelling currents. Rhythm of creation is shattered. The wheels of the chariot of life are struck on their course. Your sweet memories are all I have, till the last dregs of sense remains in me, I who took shape from you and from you took life. Mother, the first ecstasy on my tongue, with your herb and honey, the last drop of water that soothes even as the flame of my life is snuffed out. The eyes of the blazing sun shoot rays of fairy fury. The anthropocentric development has altered the natural rhythm of earth. The poet realistically speaks about the impact of man's deed on nature as he shows the rhythm of creation is brought at stake due to the careless commodification of nature. The eyes of the blazing sun shoot rays of fairy fury. Blazing means shining intensely. The sun is taking revenge for the doings of human beings. Sun is extremely angry over to what has happened to his bride earth. Sun is shooting rays of fairy fury on human race. This may be the reference to the extreme heat we are facing nowadays. Devoid of the lush green canopy, the sun scorches the body of earth. June clouds hunt for drinking water. June anticipates the monsoon rains, but instant there is drought. June clouds hunt for drinking water. We don't get rain in June. We are completely in short. December nights hunt for cold. The wintry chill of December has been replaced by hot gusts. Normally, we experience coldness at December month, but now December nights hunt for cold. April dawns hunt for a tiny flower. April is the time of spring season. It is a season where you see fresh and new buds blossoming all around. But now the flowers of spring no longer bloom. All the earth seems to come to life again, but here April is hunting for tiny flower. It cannot see anything anywhere. Sylvan rivers hunt for swelling currents. Sylvan means forest or the rivers that originated from mountains or forest. Sylvan rivers hunt for swelling currents. That means there is no water in it. The river that runs in the woods have dried up. The rhythm of creation is shattered. Man may be alive, but life itself has reached a standstill. The wheels of the chariot of life are struck on their course. They used to happen as a cycle in our planet, but that cycle has been disturbed. Your sweet memories are all I have. There are no good things happening around you. The glory of nature and the vibrant life that it embodied has faded away and has become memories. I have only good memories about you, but there is nothing beautiful about this planet. Till the last dregs of sense remains in me, I who took shape from you and from you took life. The poet reaffirms his oneness with nature by declaring that he took shape and life from her. Mother Earth is the reason for everyone coming into existence. Mother, the first ecstasy on my tongue, with your herb and honey, the last drop of water that soothes even as the flame of my life is snuffed out. reminiscing on the folk custom of smearing a paste of honey and vayambu on an infant's tongue to clear its voice and make it mellifluous, the poet exclaims that it is the first ecstasy he has known. Mother, the first ecstasy on my tongue. Mother is the first word we utter after being born. The first taste you got was that of Mother Earth. The first ecstasy on my tongue with your herb and honey. We have the ritual of serving the newborn with a paste of honey or herb. Herb here suggests vayambu. It is the tradition that exists in our culture. We also have the tradition of serving the newborn with a tinge of God. All these rituals exist in our culture. Oinbe is referring to this culture of Kerala. The last drop of water that soothes even as the flame of my life is snuffed out. Even the last soaker of a dying man comes from earth in the form of water that soothes the throat of a dying man. The last drop of water you get really soothes you. It makes you feel better. Even if you are dying, the last drop of water soothes you. You feel better. In this stanza, there is an echo of concern of climate change and global warming in lines like the blazing shooting rays of fairy fury and the wheels of chariot of life are struck on their course. Moving to the 8th stanza, I have always marveled at your magic of capturing an infant sun in a dewdrop on the blades of the karuga that spring from you. My lustful fantasies have graced each day in the shade of trees that line you like prophets of yore, the winds trod upon your seas. I have always marveled at your magic. The poet begins the stanza by quoting his amazement at seeing the various magical happenings around him. He has always been amazed at the magic that he sees in nature. I have always marveled at your magic of capturing an infant sun in a dewdrop on the blades of the karuga that spring from you. The most beautiful and touching imagery is that of the magic of capturing an infant sun in a dewdrop on the blades of the karuga that spring from the nature. He is referring to the sights that you see in the morning, the rising sun, dewdrops, etc. The poet's eyes perceive magic in everyday mundane view of the dewdrops. He does not want to turn a blind eye to the beauty of earth or take it for granted. The poet sees the majestic sun in a dewdrop as it reflects the early morning sunrise resting on the blades of karuga that gets its life from Mother Earth. Here, Oinbe is particularly referring to a herb called karuga. Karuga is one of the 10 herbs which are collectively called Deshapushpam. It has also some sort of medicinal value as well. He is amazed by the magic that a dewdrop captures the rising sun. Where is this dewdrop? The dewdrop is on the blades of karuga herb. My lustful fantasies have graced each day in the shade of trees that line you. The extreme desire he fulfills by seeing the magic around him. Like prophets of yore, the wind trods upon your seas. Yore means past times or ancient times. Trod means walking. The prophets of the ancient times used to walk above the seas. The poet also points to the beauty of the trees that line earth and the winds that blow across the infinite expanses of seas. Moving to the 9th stanza, Mother, I see you in myriad forms, how you remain awake with cradle and lullabies for thousands of tender fruits, how you swing in thousands of orchards and leap on the tips of the leaves of the banyan tree, how you beacon with hands like 5-petal flowers and coo like the temple doves. How you set the rhythm for the happiness of my soul like the waves in strains of thousands, how you deck the verdant Puvaga, Ilanye or Konna trees in full bloom. How you startle me as the screeching owl and soothe me as the cuckoo's song. How you array a myriad hues in a tiny box to etch figures in the recesses of the mind. How you dip dust in gold. How you disappear with the eventide into the woods and return with the dawn on your shoulders. How you wake me up and feed me on nectar. How from the heart of the dense forest you craft poems from the self of birds. How you carry me ever so gently like the lotus leaf does a drop of water. I know all this you feel in me, O mother. So it's pretty a long stanza. Mother, I see you in myriad forms. The imagery of the poem suddenly changes from that of a wretched mother to a stimulating, beautiful mother. From earth and dissolution, there is a movement to fertility and vitality. The poet presents abundance of images that present Mother Earth in her sowing beauty. Mother, I see you in myriad forms. Oenvi is again addressing Earth as Mother. I see you in myriad forms. Myriad means numerous. The poet says that he sees Mother Earth in numerous forms. How you remain awake with cradle and lullabies. Cradle means baby bed. Lullabies means baby song or tarat. Nature is full of cradles and lullabies. It takes care of its babies. The poet is asking how you remain awake with cradles and lullabies for thousands of tender fruits. How you swing in thousands of orchards. The poet is referring to the wind which helps fruits sway in their branches and leap on the tips of the leaves of the banyan tree. The wind that touches the leaves of the banyan tree. How you beacon with hands like 5-petaled flowers. Beacon means to invite. When he sees a 5-petaled flowers, when it moves in wind, it feels like that particular flower is inviting him. And coo like the temple dove. Coo is the sound of the pigeon. He is referring to the sights and sounds that he sees around nature. How you set the rhythm for the happiness of my soul. Mother Earth is setting the rhythm of happiness. All these sights fills the poet's souls with happiness. Like the waves in streams of thousands. His happiness is like the waves in streams of thousands. You have thousands reasons to happy when you witness all these beautiful sights in nature. How you deck the verdant Puvaga, Ilani or Konna trees in full bloom. Deck means decorate. Verdant means greenery. How you decorate Puvaga, Ilani and Konna in full bloom. How you startle me as the screeching owl. Startle means surprise or shock. He is terrified by the sound of the owl and soothe me at the cuckoo's song. And at the same time, the song of cuckoo soothes you. The song of cuckoo makes the poet comfortable. How you array a myriad hues in a tiny box. Array means arrange. Hue means color. How you array a myriad hues in tiny box. The poet is asking how does Mother Earth manage to arrange all these numerous colors in a tiny box called Earth? To etch figures in the recess of the mind, seeing all these colors, it carves out figures or memories in the mind of the poet. Recess means corner. How you dip dusk in gold. How you disappear with the eventide into the woods. Eventide means later part of the day. At the later part of the day or night, the poet asks how you disappear in the woods. Woods means forest. And return with the dawn on your shoulders. And in the next day, you come up in the morning on your shoulders. How you wake me up and feed me on the nectar. The various things that you get from nature. How from the heart of the dense forest you craft poems from the self of birds. He is referring to the songs of various birds. How do you craft these songs through birds? It is nature who is crafting these beautiful songs through the medium of birds. How you carry me ever so gently like the lotus leaf does a drop of water. We can see dewdrops on lotus leaf. Like lotus leaves carry dewdrops, Mother Earth carries human beings. I know all this you feel in me, O Mother. So the poet says that from this particular planet that he has taken existence. So the poet is emphasizing that Earth and Mother are completely dependent on each other. Without other, one can't exist. In this stanza, the poet is presenting a numerous images to show the beauty of Mother Earth. The cradle reminding of a mother's gentle touch, the lullabies, the coo of temple doves, the screeching of the owl and the cuckoo's song soothing the ears, the orchards and the leaves of the banyan tree, the 5-petaled flower and the golden dust providing a feast to the eyes, and Puvaga and Ilani mesmerizing with their fragrance, while the lip-smacking taste of nectar is the remedy that man has known on earth. All these and more are the manifestations of Mother Earth, and no sense of man are left unappeased by her. Moving to the 10th stanza of the poem, what remains immortal in me are your memories. O swan who holds music in your wings, the warm truth blazes that by glory shines forth, if only for a moment, from the tips of your beauteous wings. Let that be damned, the crow of death beaked, even the nectar of your truth. What remains immortal in me are your memories. What has not died are his memories regarding nature. O swan who holds music in your wings, the warm truth blazes, that my glory shines forth, if only for a moment, from the tips of your beauteous wings. He says that his beauty radiates out of the beautiful wings of the swans. He is beautiful, or his beauty is conveyed through the elements in nature. Let that be damned, let that be cursed. The crow of death beaked even the nectar of your truth. The crow of death beaked. The crow of death means Belikaka. In Hindu mythology, we have the tradition of serving food for the dead by offering it to crows. The idea of death has crept in. Even the nectar of your truth, it is even present in sweetness of truth. It is true that the alarm of death has heard. Moving to the 11th stanza of the poem, as you trudge along the solar highway, an outcast with torn-shirted head, shouldering the bundle of your shame, weighed down with the sin of having bore children who turn mother ravishers, doesn't cruel death creep through your veins? As you trudge along the solar highway, trudge means walk slowly. Solar highway here means galaxy. As the Mother Earth walks through the solar highway, an outcast with torn-shirted head, how does he walk? As an outcast. Outcast means a person who has rejected from the society, who has been thrown out from the society. Here it means the earth which has been ignored by the inhabitants. Tonsured means bald head. Shouldering the bundle of shame, it walks with the bundle of shame, weighed down with the sin of having borne children who turn mother ravishers. What is the bundle of shame carried by the Mother Earth? That he gave birth to children who later on become the mother ravishers. Doesn't cruel death creep through your veins? The idea of death is creeping through her veins. Instead of blood, the Mother Earth is carrying the idea of death in her veins. Moving to the last stanza of the poem, Mother Earth, not a dead, this is requiem to you. This song I inscribe in my heart today is a requiem to you and to me. I won't be here to moisten your dead lips with my tears, to mourn your death, therefore I inscribe as much here, O Mother Earth, not a dead, in the eminence of your death, may your soul rest in peace, in eternal peace. The poem, A Requiem to Mother Earth, or ഭൂമിക്കൊരു ചരമഗീതം ends like this. ഇനിയും മരിക്കാത്ത ഭൂമി, ഇത് നിന്റെ മൃതശാന്തി ഗീതം, ഇത് നിന്റെ എൻ്റെയും ചരമ ശുശ്രൂഷയ്ക്ക് ഹൃദയത്തിൽ എന്നെ കുറിച്ച ഗീതം. ഉയരറ്റ നിൻ മുഖത്തശ്രുബിന്ദുക്കളാൽ ഉദകം പകർന്നു വിലപിക്കാൻ ഇവിടെ അവശേഷിക്കില്ല ഞാകയാൽ ഇതുമാത്രം ഇവിടെ എഴുതുന്നു. ഇനിയും മരിക്കാത്ത ഭൂമി, നിന്നാസന്ന മൃതിയിൽ നിനക്കാത്മശാന്തി, മൃതിയിൽ നിനക്കാത്മശാന്തി. So the poet is saying that Mother Earth is not yet dead. This is a song of mourning for you. The song is inscribing in the poet's heart today as a requiem to not only to the Mother Earth but also to the human race. I won't be here to moisten your dead lips with my tears, to mourn your death. Therefore I inscribe as much here, O Mother Earth, not yet dead, in the eminence of your death. May your soul rest in peace, in eternal peace. So the poet, O.N.V. Kurup, winds up the poem by wishing eternal peace to Mother Earth. The poet reiterates that Mother Earth is not yet dead, perhaps reminding us of that gentle ray of hope still looming in oblivion, the ray of change and revival. The poem is an outburst of emotions of a concerned artist who watches his earth being reduced to ashes by the blind deeds of his co-inhabitants of the globe. The poem, A Requiem to Mother Earth, was originally written in Malayalam and it was translated into English by S. Velayathan. So, That's the detailed explanation of the poem A Requiem to Mother Earth, which was written by O.N.V. Kurup. Hope you understood the poem. Thank you for watching.